What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. Today I want to talk to you about Healthier Choices Management, ticker is HCMC. I do anticipate a lot of big changes in the coming month for HCMC and its investors. So I'm going to break that down, what it might look like for existing shareholders. Over and above that, I just want to give you some general updates on HCMC and what's happening behind the scenes. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciated. And with that, let's get right to it. So the latest news did come out on October the 25th, where they talked about the repurchase program. It did potentially get approved, so the 5 million repurchase, which was part of their bigger plan, the 4-point plan that I've already done a lot of videos on. But if you do look at a lot of the technicals, it doesn't look like there's been any abnormal volume to justify this 5 million. So based on my interpretation, it doesn't look like they've started repurchasing anything. Maybe they're waiting for that 0001 because it would be very advantageous for them to catch that, especially more so if they want to add a little bit more additional value for investors. I think that would be the better deal of them all. And keep in mind, we've been barcoding between that 0001 and 0002 for a while, plain and simple. A little bit more orienting towards the 0001 as of right now. And surprisingly enough though, I've been very impressed with the volume. And so the market just tentatively opened up right now, but more so for yesterday, there was 112 million shares being traded, whereas the average is 185. So I think still, no matter what, there's a very impressive amount of volume. Let me know your thoughts on that. When it comes down to the volume though, I like to always coincide that with shorts. Shorts love to kind of menace the OTC stocks, and HCMC is absolutely no different. So you do see a little bit more volatility. Keep in mind though, when it is barcoding between that 0001 and 0002, it is very risky for shorts because as far as the downside or potential benefit, they have to kind of sell at that 0002 and hope to buy back at that 0001, unless behind the scenes they're hoping for potentially a reverse stock split. And based on this, they do talk on reverse stock split quite a lot, that they were trying to avoid that. So it goes to show that at least in their heads, it was part of their plan. So my own interpretation, of course, I'm not a financial advisor or anything. Based on this though, they do want to roll out that NewCo in Q4. So this is where I'm getting at. Potentially there might be a lot of big changes. Keep in mind what they're doing is depending on the outstanding shares, because as of right now, there is 339.74 billion outstanding shares. So your certain percentage of how many shares that you have compared to the outstanding shares, that is ultimately what you're going to get as far as a dividend related and technically rolled over into that NewCo. So that's something that you need to factor in. Like I said, a lot of big changes, and most likely it is going to be very confusing. And also over and above that, they did say that they want to actually go onto the New York Stock Exchange. I don't know why they chose that at the end of the day, because it's very costly for stocks to stay on the New York Stock Exchange. Over and above that, as far as the breakdown and the requirements, it is pretty severe. So I don't know even if they do qualify, but based on clearly their optimism, maybe they want to. And one takeaway from this is, I don't know how once again they get onto this. So I like to play devil's advocate, not necessarily just with HCMC, but every stock. That's what you have to do as far as a good investor. When I was looking at their actual presentation, their recent earnings, their presentation, they do talk on this rollout plan, and they did have a Q&A. But my problem is with that, how do they expect to be profitable? Because technically they already say once they're going to be rolling out into NewCo, they're going to have instant profit. So it begs the question, what is going to happen at this stage in the game, which they are burning through a lot of cash? And it does look like the qcup and the vape stores have ceased. So that's something that you need to really factor into. How are they going to be profitable or instant profitable in that grand scheme of things? But like I said, that's something for us to worry about potentially in the future, because you have to trust what the management is saying based on their 4-point plan. And based on their 4-point plan, it's a little bit more mixed. Like I said, it's adding value as what they are trying to say. But if you actually take a deep look at it, yes, they're doing this buyback of 5 million, and that in general is fairly good. But once again, if you do take a look at this a little bit more deeper, they're doing a 13.5 million issuance, I believe. So once again, definitely it's a little bit more mixed. Yes, you're getting the buyback, and if they did that first, yes, investors might get a little bit more of a benefit, but they're also doing an issuance and technically doing this whole rollout into this NewCo that's confusing a lot of investors. Even more so ever since they came out with this, and I've done a video, I get a lot of investors that post comments that what is going on? What does this ultimately look like for us as investors? So like I said, we should have NewCo in Q4 and we only have roughly about 1 month left. So definitely a lot of big changes might come very, very fast. So they in reality could potentially do this buyback and also roll it out, do the dividend and all that fun stuff at the very end of Q4. So that might be something that you need to factor in. Like I said, I touched on shorts. Shorts in reality are still technically very much a big part of HCMC as it stands. One thing I just wanted to point out, because I was looking through Stock Twitch, which I normally don't do too much, but as you can see, there's a lot of individuals talking about the lawsuit still. And I don't really get that. I could be completely wrong. Like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, but I know a lot of individuals did get into HCMC because of the lawsuit. It was very positive and very optimistic. It looked like HCMC was going to win. Unfortunately, on their half, they kind of messed up on some very vital parts. They're still trying to fight it, but at the end of the day, I think all existing investors need to stop caring about the lawsuit because, like I said, this NewCo isn't going to include this whole patent lawsuit and patent infringement lawsuit. Like I said, we have to stop just thinking about the lawsuit. It's in the past. It's going to stay with HCMC. All the intellectual properties is not going to get rolled out into this NewCo. This is only going to be exactly what HCMC wants as far as their grocery chain and everything else that they've been focusing on for give or take around the last year. So qcup, vape store, intellectual properties are not going to be part of the actual NewCo. So even more so myself, as I've said many times, I got into HCMC initially because of the lawsuit, but I grew to love the qcup because I knew the profit margins on that and also the vape store were absolutely massive, between 40 to 60%, whereas the grocery store is around about 5 to 10%, give or take, and that's being a little bit more generous there. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. If you still like the lawsuit, then yes. My only question is, based on all of this, it does look like they're rolling it out into NewCo. If you still want HCMC to, let's say you want the lawsuit and you want to stick by HCMC and not NewCo in general, I do believe you have to talk to your broker and say that you don't want this dividend, or I don't know, maybe you just have to rebuy back HCMC potentially. That's where it's a little bit more gray. Some people did post that in comments. Like I said, a lot of people are very curious about that. Even myself, I don't know how that's going to look like. As far as based on my interpretation of this, everyone is going to get NewCo one way or another, depending on your certain percentage of your shares compared to the outstanding shares. That's where you're going to get equivalently in NewCo. If you do, like for instance, HCMC and you want to stick by HCMC, I don't know how technically that's going to look, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. So like I said, there's going to be a lot of big changes in the next month that I do anticipate. So let me know your thoughts on that and if you are excited for NewCo. But outside of that though, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. If you do like my channel, want to support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said, appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on HCMC.